Okay, hello everybody. And here we are, living life today. I think in the future, it is rare that afternoons, but I have a lunch break and I am home at the moment, so I will be able to go over our topics that we have not discussed. And I'm just going to go over one topic for right now. And as you can see, we're still a few days behind, so hopefully we'll get caught up by the end of the night. I have no plans. I have nothing going on today. So this will be good to just catch up a little bit during this break. So we're going to still go over our topics starting with C. And this is the topic of the cross, or cross, right? So really, when we think of Christian imagery, we do have the cross at the forefront. So of course we understand the significance behind it, but we're going to go ahead and look into what the Bible has to say about the cross and see if we can gain any further insights to this symbol here. So let's start off with Mark chapter 8 verses 31 through chapter 9 verse 1. So a bit of a longer read. It's actually not too bad. I think the second one is a bit longer, but we're only going to go over 2 excerpts today. So I think we'll get through it in good time. All right. So let us begin with Mark. He began to teach them that the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected by the elders, the chief priests, and the teachers of the law, and that he must be killed, and after 3 days rise again. He spoke plainly about this, and Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. But when Jesus turned and looked at his disciples, he rebuked Peter. He said, "Get behind me, Satan," he said. "You do not have in mind the concerns of God, but merely human concerns." Then he called the crowd to him along with his disciples and said, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me and for the gospel will save it. What good is it for someone to gain the whole world, yet forfeit their soul? Or what can anyone give in exchange for their soul? If anyone is ashamed of me and my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, the Son of Man will be ashamed of them when he comes in his Father's glory with the holy angels." And he said to them, "Truly I tell you, some of who are standing here will not taste death before they see that the kingdom of God has come with power." So really beautiful and strong statements that Jesus spoke. And as I'm sure you can remember, we have gone over this before, this moment when he was proclaiming that, yes, I'm being abused now, right? But I'm going to die and be abused even further. So he was definitely being rejected, and definitely people were coming after him because he had performed these miracles and he was doing all these things and preaching to the masses. People are going to come out and say they don't like that, especially religion, chief elders, right, in the religion, and then chief priests is where he's getting at. Anywho, but he's saying, you know what, this needs to happen. This is how it's going to happen. Anybody who does not agree with this is really just not with me at the end of the day. And he's saying whoever wants to be a disciple of Christ, they must let go of themselves. They must deny themselves. It's not about you anymore. It's about the journey of Christ. And he says, take up your cross and follow me, whoever really wants to be my disciple. So for whoever wants to save their life will lose it. That's another big thing that we hear repeated a lot. So the more selfishness that is going on and the more conceited behavior that is going on, that is really all for nothing at the end of the day, because all of the stuff that you use to build up your own ego and your own self will be destroyed at the end of it, and you'll have to either start again in a new life or such and such, So for whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me and for the gospel will save it. So it's really good to care about the gospel in this context, right, it's really good to learn about it and see where that can take you and see how it can apply to your life, and focus and track your life according to what is being said with the life of Jesus, which we will actually go over the 30 days of Jesus, the 30 days in the life. We'll go over that towards the end of the summer, if I'm guessing correctly, maybe even next month, towards the end. So yeah, there's one more thing here. This part here, and this applied way back when Mark was written, so I would guess that it applies even more so right now. Truly I tell you, some of who are standing here will not taste death before they see that the kingdom of God has come with power. And there will be many people that I feel like you'll come meet along the way that has believed that the kingdom of God is actually here now, which is not quite the case, because there is still a lot of work to be done on this planet. But if this rang true in Mark's time as he was writing this, I believe that this is even more so near and more so true. And it is great that we are reading it now to this day. So let's go on to the last excerpt, which is Luke chapter 23, verses 26 through 49. As soldiers led him away, they seized Simon from Cyrene, who was on his way in from the country. And they put the cross on him and made him carry it behind Jesus. A large number of people followed him, including women who mourned and wailed for him. Jesus turned and said to them, "Daughters of Jerusalem, do not weep for me, weep for yourselves and for your children. For the time will come when you will say, 'Blessed are the childless women, the wombs that never bore and the breasts that never nursed.' Then they will say to the mountains, 'Fall on us,' and to the hills, 'Cover us.' For if the people do these things when a tree is green, what will happen when it is dry?" 2 other men, both criminals, were also led out with him to be executed. When they came to the place called the Skull, they crucified him there along with the criminals, one on his right and the other on his left. Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." And they divided up his clothes by casting lots. The people stood watching, and the rulers even sneered at him. They said, "He saved others, let him save himself, if he is God's Messiah, the chosen one." The soldiers also came up and they mocked him. They offered him wine vinegar and said, "If you are the king of the Jews, save yourself." There was a written notice above him which read, "This is the King of the Jews." One of the criminals who hung there hurled insults at him. "Aren't you the Messiah? Save yourself and us." But the other criminal rebuked him. "Don't you fear God," he said, "since you are under the same sentence. We are punished justly for what we are getting, what our deeds deserved. But this man has done nothing wrong." Then he said, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." Jesus answered, "Truly I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise." So it was now about noon, and darkness came over the whole land until 3 p.m, for the sun stopped shining, and the curtain of the temple was torn in two. Jesus called out with a loud voice, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." When he said this, he breathed his last. The centurion, seeing what had happened, praised God and said, "Surely this was a righteous man." When all the people who had gathered to witness this sight saw what took place, they beat their breasts and went away. But all those who knew him, including the woman who had followed him from Galilee, stood at a distance, watching these things. So, of course, when we go into the life of Jesus, we will be probably hearing this again, because I'm assuming we're going to go through some of the gospel readings, and I'm sure this is going to be brought up again. But it's very clear here what the cross represents for Christianity, because the Son of Man himself was crucified. That's not to say that this didn't happen regularly. This was, as we know, a regular punishment, this crucifixion And Jesus had two other people, one to his right and one to his left, crucified with him on that same day. And they are still to this day very significant, although classified as criminals at that time. Of course, that one man met him in heaven, and the other man is probably forgiven as well, because he was obviously going through some pain and suffering and saying, like, save us, right? So he didn't really mean that in a rude way, but he was definitely suffering at that time, as was the other one. But yes, so very interesting. A little bit is spoken here about the pain of a mother and what she feels, and Jesus was saying, you know, you will soon be almost jealous of the people who do not have children, because it comes with all this pain and emotion. Once you have a child, you are really kind of giving your life into that child, and imagine to see your child dying or being tortured or such and such in the way that Jesus was. Very, very intense and a very saddening moment for a mother. So that's what he's saying there with, do not weep for me, weep for your children, take care of your children, guide your children, right? It's very, very important, because motherhood is very, very much a sacred gift and a challenging gift indeed. Very, very challenging. So beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yes. I'm trying to figure out what he was foreshadowing exactly. It's like, for the time will come when you will say, blessed are the childless women. As I'm sure there was a lot of turmoil after the death of Jesus, some time after. So yes, very difficult time to be a mother then, especially. So, as of now, I would argue. So wonderful. I'm not really going to get into too much detail. This was a short reading today. We have clarity on the significance of the cross, if you did not have that already, but also just the importance of the two others that were crucified with Jesus. Again, this was a very common treatment to criminals at the time, and Jesus was classified as such at that time. So it was pretty shocking to, really understand that and really realize, okay, we're wearing this cross because Jesus was classified as a criminal at that time. So very, very interesting. Again, yes, very, very, very gotta go. Very, very, very interesting. Gotta go. I will catch up with you guys in a little bit. Let's just go over what we're gonna do later to hold some accountability here. Okay, we have death. So how perfect that we'll be going over death right after we go over the cross. So we're going to go over what Jesus has to say about death, and then after that we will go over, death is kind of a long one, then we'll go over to discipleship. And after discipleship, we are going to decide what to do from there. But that will be much later after I get off work. So I'll catch up with you guys in a bit. Have a good day. Stay well. Bye-bye.